What is up, everyone? Life after sport, back with another episode with my good friend Cameron Vollmer. Cam, so great to have you on the show. Talk a little bit, about your background, baseball, and everything in between on this episode. So glad to have you.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it. We've been trying to get this down for a while, so I'm happy we're able to get it going.
Yes, sir. I know you're busy with the season, so we'll get it rolling. D1, JUCO, D2, indie ball. Tell me a little bit about your baseball history and background and what you're into now.
Yeah, man, I kind of been around the block, as we like to say. I started at UC Davis out of high school. Kind of quickly knew that, I was low on the depth chart there, so I decided to make that switch. Spent time at a D2 in Oakland called Holy Names, which unfortunately they had to close their doors last year, which is tough to see. Then the pandemic kind of hit, and it was a weird time for a lot of players. So, I decided, hey, let's go JUCO. Ended up kind of just taking a gap year almost because with the whole COVID rules in California and stuff, it was a shortened season. So, and then we had a kid from St. Cloud State, which is why I ended up finishing my career at come to our JUCO. And that's kind of how I got in touch with St. Cloud State. And obviously that's where I met you. And that's where I finished my career. And it was an absolute blast. And was thankful enough to play a year of indie ball. Played for the San Rafael Pacifics up in the Picos League. And it was an absolute blast, man. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world, Been around the block, seen a lot of different things, had a lot of different experiences, you know what I mean? But, you learn from all that, and I'm super grateful for all of it.
I know we reminisce from here and there about baseball, and, I think you and I both have taken baseball and used it in every way possible. So I'm so grateful for baseball, and it's, maybe the on-field didn't turn out the way like I planned. Baseball has given me so much than I ever imagined. You talk about, each year, kind of moving around school to school and in the similar boat. Talk to me about the mental health, going into a new school each year, kind of battling it out in the fall, kind of almost looking over your shoulder every year, like trying to compete for a spot. Tell me like your mindset and, how difficult some people don't even realize that is.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go into a new school, those coaches haven't seen you play yet, Sure, they might have came out to watch you at a game in high school, or they saw some clips, but they don't know you. They don't know your personality. They don't know your skill set. So every day it's a constant battle. For me, I had, let's say, 2 to 3 falls where the coaching staff didn't know me yet. So I'm doing everything I can. And, it can be a toll on you a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're there to compete, and, you shouldn't really want anything else. And, that's kind of the thing that I would say I miss most about playing is just that competitive side, right? It's different from when you're a coach to when you're a player. Oh, yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But like I said earlier, I wouldn't change anything for the world. Just getting a chance to compete and show what you got, not everyone gets that opportunity. So it was at least fun to have that aspect.
Do you think that's why you naturally shifted to coaching? Because there's nothing like being in the trenches as being a player, right? Like you're never going to get that competitiveness in anything you do and that athletics gives you, right? Like obviously competitive in the workplace and things like that nature, but nothing matches it up. Like you're going, head on head with that pitcher, trying to do damage, right? As, a hitter. There's nothing like that you ever can replicate in the workforce or your everyday. So I think, is that why you naturally just shifted to coaching for a career?
Yeah, man. I mean, you never really know what you're losing until you're actually done with the game. So I wouldn't say I was really searching for that competitiveness, and that's why I went to coaching. I knew from a young age, like I just had a passion for this game, and, just trying to learn and grow and continue that is just kind of what I'm looking for. But, that competitive edge is a little bonus, you know what I mean? So like I said, it's not the same, but it's awesome day in, day out to compete and try to get that edge going back in your life.
I know you being, similar in age to a lot of the players, with the COVID years, maybe leading out now and, fifth year guys, those guys probably see you similar in that relationship. How hard is it to keep that relationship as you being one of the top assistants to the players while, earning their respect?
It's been different. It's definitely been different. Perfect example, last year we had a kid on the pitching staff, and I'm the pitching coach at Whittier College, and we brought a kid in, a grad transfer in, and he was older than me, trying to keep that balance of like, you know, checks and balances and making sure that, hey, you know, I'm the type of coach that I'm not a screamer. I'm not a yeller. I want the best for you and for this program, but knowing that like, hey, just because I'm young, don't try to take advantage of me, right? We still got work to do. You know, we got to do things the right way. And that's kind of been, you know, that fine line that I'm trying to establish. And, you know, nothing's going to be perfect. I'm in year 3 as a coach, so I'm still riding the roller coaster of what works best and what doesn't. But, you know, these guys at Whittier have done an awesome job, you know, taking the coaching and really letting me help them and try to, you know, turn around and win some more ball games. So it's been awesome.
Now, like being out of baseball and realizing the 5, 6 a.m. lifts, you know, the 8 a.m. classes, the 3 o'clock practices, you know, now you're not getting out to, you know, 6, 7. You know, sometimes getting there for early work and then staying after for more reps. Does your body finally feel a little bit relieved now that you're not, you know, running through those things? And, you know, especially the mental health side of things, like you don't really realize now that, like, for example, myself, I realize that I'm in charge of everything right now. Like I'm my own head coach, which is such a good relief, you know, that, you know, I'm on my schedule, you know, being a player that, you're really kind of just tossed in there and you have to, you know, you're there to do a job, but like you're at the whim of someone else. You know, being a coach, do you have a, you know, better grip on something like that?
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to everything that I've learned at my past schools, and from a lot of the great coaches that I've been around, you know, just trying to take little snippets of the wisdom that they've passed along and trying to see, hey, what's the best way for our guys to perform? And because, like you said, you and I know what it's like to hey, 6 a.m. weights until you got a midterm, and now you got a game, now you got an 8-hour bus ride, you know, like it's tough. So it's, you know, trying to find that best formula to set our guys up to succeed. And there's no perfect formula. I don't know if there ever will be. But as long as you're trying and you're searching for it, I think these guys respect it. And they appreciate it, you know? And if you got, you know, your kids' approval and appreciation, you know, they're going to go to war for you and they're going to battle for you and they're going to push through those tough times. And that's all you can really ask for. You know what I mean? So we're working on it. We're figuring some stuff out. And, you know, hopefully, like I said, there's no perfect answer, but hopefully there, you know, we get damn close to one. So
knowing you as a person, I know you're probably listening to your players, you know, listening to what, you know, their bodies are feeling, making sure that, you know, if they're not feeling good, they're not pushing themselves to the max in the weight room, you know, that day before practice, you know, or you're lifting on game days or certain things like that. I think it's so important that you're so fresh off of playing that you know these things.
Yes.
That you can relate to your head coach where you're not killing these guys, making sure they're performing, you know, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Definitely.
So being from Cali, moving out to the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, tell me about the culture shock and then trying to perform in, you know, those 25, 30-degree games.
Let me tell you, man, there ain't nothing like it. There's nothing like it. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself for that. There really isn't. I grew up in California all my life, so, in Southern California especially. So, I mean, where I'm from, you know, it rains maybe 5, 6 times a year. It's 80, 90, 100 degrees, you know, all flies all the time. You're throwing hard all the time. You get used to it too. You're used to the heat, man. You start to love it because you always just feel a little better, you know, hips feel a little better, knees feel a little better. And then that first game in, you know, 25, 30-degree weather, it is a culture shock, man. There's nothing that you can do to get ready for that. And you feel like crap. Ball doesn't go anywhere. You piece the ball up. You're like, how's that not gone? But like anything else, man, you just learn to deal with it and you put your head down and you try to win a baseball game. So, you know, but it was an awesome life experience. You know, like I said, everywhere I've been, awesome life experiences. I wouldn't have traded it for the world, man. I met awesome people like you. I got to play with, you know, amazing players, got, you know, awesome. Just, I can't even explain, man. It was just a blast to be out there with everyone and be a part of a winning team.
Most definitely. And being baseball has given us so many things. It's also, you know, taken such a toll. Talk to me about your arm. How are you doing? You know, for the folks listening, tell us, you know, about your last baseball game ever so far. Hopefully you're not retired. Maybe there's a comeback, but tell us about your last baseball game ever.
Yeah, last one was a tough one. I play indie ball, like I said, up with San Rafael. I had my first pitching appearance of the season, and about the sixth pitch in, I completely tore my UCL. So that was a tough one. I've battled injuries all my career. I partially tore my UCL twice, my freshman year of college and my junior year of college. As a catcher, I played with, bruised disc in my lower back. So I know what it's like to be dealing with stuff, but this was different. One of the things that people don't talk a ton about is the mental toll that it takes on you to have Tommy John. I know it's kind of an ongoing thing where guys are just getting it left and right. And yeah, it can fix you, but it can also hurt you upstairs a little bit. And just trying to battle that a little bit. I spent all of last season not really being able to throw. I wasn't able to really hit a fungo until about halfway through the season. And that was tough, especially as a younger coach. I like to be able to show a lot of guys, what I expected them, by me being able to do it. If a coach can do it, then I feel like you should be able to do it too, in a sense. So that was that was a toll, but we've been rehabbing it, and I've been feeling a lot better, starting to do a lot more things with the guys, and it's fun. So we'll see how it feels in a couple months, and you never know, man. Maybe I'll get back up there. So we'll see.
That's awesome to hear. And I clear as day remember us talking less than a couple hours before you're pitching. I remember taking the phone call in the store. I already had left the team, and you're like, CJ, like, they have to give me a chance to pitch. Like, what am I doing? Like, they're just throwing position players out there. I even pitched.
Yeah.
The last time I pitched was high school. I threw one inning in high school ever. That's saying a lot. Not even I pitched. I'm like, just stay focused. You're going to get a chance. Lo and behold, that night you go out there and pitch. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you're dealing, right? Like you're feeling good.
I'm feeling awesome. For the listeners at home, I'm a sidearm, low 3/4 side thrower. So it was, hey, let's get a lot of movement and sync. I was up to 87, 88 that night, and it was just, I guess the cool thing is I struck the last guy out on a torn UCL. So hey, there's always something.
That's pretty badass. Well, whenever you heal up, I know we're going to have to, strap it on and, maybe get, some ABs when you're feeling better.
Maybe, man. Maybe hop in the Sunday leagues, huh?
For sure. So you've been at every level now. Talk to me about, you being the top, recruiting coordinator at your school. Tell me about, some of the challenges recruiting at the Division III level. Obviously, there not being scholarships at the D3 level. Tell me how you're getting some of the top players to come to your program.
Yeah, man. It's been a blast. I'm super thankful to our head guy. He gave me an opportunity 3 years ago to come on staff and start coaching. He's been awesome. I've just been rolling with this. With recruiting, it's tough. It's not easy. But the one thing I do love about the D3 level is you're getting, high academic kids and kids that want to play baseball. And with that recipe, usually you get a lot of good kids, and it's been fun coaching these kids. And, I've had 2 years of recruiting classes come in, and seeing these kids grow and develop and turn into some fine ball players. It's been really awesome to see. So Whittier's an awesome place, man. It's we were talking earlier, we're in one of the toughest Division III conferences in America. As of yesterday, we've got 4 teams ranked in the top 18 in the country that we have to go battle against each week during the season. And with that, you're in Southern California. We're right in between Dodger Stadium and Angel Stadium and the beach. It was 75 and sunny at practice today. Not a lot of schools get to say that. Yeah, it's tough. Everyone wants that scholarship, but at the end of the day, go where you're wanted, where you have a chance to actually play, and also pick the school, for the school. We got a lot of awesome perks, great location, great weather, great baseball. So just because we can offer you a little bit of money, don't just turn D3 down. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I think D3 kind of gets a bad rap. A lot of people think it's just nerds or whatever it is, a high academic kid. But there's some really good baseball players that come out of Division III level. And, every year you look up, third, fourth round, you'll see some of the top D3 guys. I know a guy from Adrian got drafted. I'm speaking about Adrian in Michigan, got drafted in the second or third round. Dude was throwing 99 to 100. Like, there's dudes at every level of baseball, which is, I think, a misconception from the average Joe that doesn't know baseball. It's not like football where the talent drops off.
Yeah.
Baseball, like, there's great players everywhere.
Yeah, the biggest thing I've seen from level to level is, like I said, man, I've been through all of them. there's just depth. You know what I mean? There's just a few more guys at the D1 level. I mean, we faced a guy earlier this year, 92, 94, with, 10 pro scouts in the stands. Last year was the same thing. Faced a guy that was 93, 94, 10 pro scouts in the stands. Even we had kids. We have a kid who was our starting center fielder, and he grad transferred to a Division I school now. There's talent everywhere. So if a D3 school calls you, trust me, just do a little bit of research, and I promise you that the competition is there, and it is tough. It is not, there's no reason to sell it short, man. It is tough baseball. You're going to have to compete your ass off.
Most definitely. With everything going on with the transfer portal and things of that nature, where are you finding the most of your recruits? Are you bringing JUCO kids on? Are you on X, on Twitter? Are you on Instagram DMs? Are you on recruiting platforms? How are you getting the most guys to your school? What's the secret formula that you've had success so far with?
I've been using everything and anything, man. I just want to make sure we get the best type of kids, the best type of players, and the best type of people. You know what I mean? Just making sure that kids are there for the right reasons and they're ready to work and they're ready to go. We have a good mix. I definitely say we lean a little heavier with incoming freshmen, but with the landscapes of the new rules for Division I think talent's going to kind of trickle down a little bit more just because there's just not enough spots. So you might start seeing a D1, a D2 type kid just go straight to a D3 just to play. I mean, because at the end of the day, like we say, it's all about playing. If you don't get on the field, guess what? A scout can't see you. So in the next 5 to 10 years, the D3 landscape might be a little different than what we're seeing. And it's already, like I said, it's already growing. It's already grown a crazy amount with how talented these kids are. So we'll see.
And I think it just takes one, recruiting class for a wave of good talent, to say, hey, there's 50 dudes on this Division I roster that I'm going to have to compete for 2 years and, maybe get, be a role player. And I can go to the Division III school and be right off the bat, top guy. Even if I perform, these D1 schools are already, cherry pick and, need to transfer to school. And then you have that pro potential. I think getting on the field is so early and it's more crucial than ever. I think you might know this as well. Players are less patient to be developed and they want to play right away. And I think that's when you're going to get one of those things where those D1 guys want to go play for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to play. It's very important to play. You know what I mean? You don't want to, just kind of sit around and see, but it's almost like with these new rules, wherever you go, you can always go up or down. You know what I mean? In the sense that, hey, you go ball out for 2 years at a JUCO, that's pretty standard, or at a D2 or at a D3. Guess what? A D1 might be calling. You know what I mean? So we might start seeing some crazy talented freshman age kids kind of, looking at that route and seeing if they can kind of crack a lineup. And, kind of a misconception though is it's just because it's D3 doesn't mean you're going to crack the lineup also day one. Don't think this D2 school offered me, so if I go D3, I will start right away. That's not how it works too. There's talented kids throughout every lineup. So you got to, like I said, one of the biggest things when it comes to recruiting, as the player, do your research. Figure out what is truly the best fit for you, right? Spend time, go visit the school, talk with the coaches. Don't even just talk with one coach. Talk with multiple coaches. Get the vibe of everyone. Go watch a game. Go ask if you can, meet some of the players and stuff like that. And really do your research because it's a big decision. You're 17, 18 years old trying to make this decision, right? It's important. So, like I said, I think one of the most important things is do a ton of research.
No, I think you hit it on the head. It's an expensive decision, especially with no scholarships. Do your due diligence. Do your homework. That's such a great piece of advice to give. Talk to me about how rewarding coaching is. You've been in it for 3 years now and steadily moved up, right? You started out being an assistant. Now you're the recruiting coordinator. Every year almost seems like, you're, taking up a notch. So tell me about what's so rewarding in coaching and what's keeping you motivated and to keep going.
What's the most rewarding? And, you hear it when you're playing, but it's truly the relationships you build and the growth that you see from these players. You hear it all the time when you're playing, I love being invited to this player's wedding and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, really? That's why you coach? Okay. But truly, man, to see these kids grow from 18-year-olds to 22-year-olds and seeing the development they have, there's like, yeah, wins are awesome. I want to win every single game, but like knowing that you impacted a player's life and they're grateful for it and you're grateful for them, like nothing beats that, man. So it's super rewarding seeing that. And, just why I keep doing it is because I love this game. You got to love this game. You got to love the grind. As a player, it's a different type of grind. As a coach, it's a different type of grind. And I loved it as a player. And then I got time to where the game didn't love me back so much. So I had to hang him up. And now I love a different grind. And I'm just trying to climb the ranks and see how far I can get, and doing the best that I can throughout each phase of my career is all I'm really trying to do. You know what I mean?
No, I think you made a lot of great points. And a coach once said to me, you don't remember the wins and losses. You just, you got to be in the moment. And I'm like, yeah, like whatever. One of these motivational speeches, like,
Yeah.
all right, man, old man, like, all right, whatever. But coming now, like I'm sitting down with you, like I can't remember any of these scores, some of these games, like you remember the good, moments, big wins, obviously, but like rest is a blur, those memories you make, walking to, practice in the dome when it's snowing and it's 5 degrees out.
Yeah.
And we're bitching and moaning in the locker room, F this, whatever, like this sucks. Like, I don't want to get jammed on the pitching machine. You know where the ball is going. Like I would give anything right now to see a hack attack, shoot at my kneecap, get out of the way of it.
Exactly. It's so true that when these coaches say you never know when it's gone or whatever that saying is, man. But like sometimes you wish you could just get up there and swing with these guys. You wish you can go out and run some first and thirds and butt D and you know what I mean? And all that, but when it's time, it's time. And, you just try to make sure these guys know how lucky they are. So they just keep grinding and working. You know what I mean?
1000%. And baseball's given me so much, like given us such a great friendship over the years. And, I wouldn't change any outcome, good or bad that's happened through my career. Certainly have dealt with the ups and downs through mine. So just so blessed to be in the position that I am. And I know you feel the same way about baseball. So I can't thank you enough for coming on, dropping some knowledge about, the recruiting process, the ups and downs of baseball and, everything in between. So thanks for coming on today.
I appreciate you having me on. Like you were saying, dude, our friendship is growing and I'm so happy we met. What is this, 3-4 years ago now? You're able to come out to my wedding. I'm coming all the way from Texas. So, it means the world to me where we've gone as friends. And, I'm happy to see you killing it, man. So, just keep up the good work. I'm happy you had me on and we'll see what the next 5-10 years look like, huh?
Hopefully you'll be a head coach somewhere and I can come on and be the recruiting coordinator and maybe we'll make a stab at, the College World Series one day.
Hey, hopefully. Who knows? Hey, 10 years is a long time.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks, man, and appreciate you and good luck the rest of the season.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Peace.
See you.